Russia has lost 536,000 troops. Their stock market has lost over $300 billion since the invasion. And because of Ukraine drone strikes, they have lost over 1 million barrels a day in refining capacity and $15 per barrel of oil due to all the damage. Russia's space radar system is now being attacked by American-provided ATACMS, along with the Russian claims of Ukraine launching the same type of attacks in Crimea. Not all of these deaths are actual Russians. Russia has lured thousands of African migrants, hundreds if not thousands of Indians, Sri Lankans, Nepalese, Uzbek, Turkmeni into fighting against Ukraine at the promise of about $4,000 a month, where the annual income for these countries is a little around $1,000 a year. Russia has such a shortage of their own troops willing to fight that they have resorted to tricking people from all around the undeveloped world. China, who has claimed to have a friendship with no boundaries, is now keeping a distance because of Russia's closeness to North Korea. Unhappy with North Korea's burgeoning relationship with Russia because China wants to be North Korea's only real lifeline. Now the Russian subsidiary of the Bank of China is no longer accepting payments from Russian banks, most likely as a result of the US and the West shutting down Russia's ability to purchase dollar-denominated debt, which is why so many people in Russia now are trying to buy dollars by any means necessary. Some have even resorted to selling their Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in order to exchange them for stable coins and then exchanging those for dollars. As you can see, since this new wave of sanctions has been passed, the price of Bitcoin has crashed from 72,000 to 61,000. The rest of the crypto market is doing even worse, which means that people who've been selling their crypto to get dollars are selling at an extreme loss. Russia has their own version of NATO called the CSTU, in which Armenia is a member, and now Armenia is leaving because Russia has proven to be a useless ally. And now the Ukrainians, as clever as they are, have more room to refine weapons they currently have to strike deeper into Russia. Namely with the R-360 Neptune, which is a subsonic long-range cruise missile, which they've also been able to launch against Russia's air defenses. I found that out from CP Scott. You should absolutely give him a follow. He has great content on what's currently going on between Ukraine and Russia. Russia is being so cut off from the West's liquidity that they are dying of thirst, along with their inability to produce energy, which they were relying on to fund the war. Russia's ability to refine their oil allows them to have a military economy. It's becoming even more important than just exporting it, but Ukraine has been killing their ability to do this. And I know there are influencers like William Scott Ritter, who actually served in the Marines, who's saying such pro-Russia stuff. You think Ukraine is going to lose at any moment. Google is free. Look up the integrity of this man because he has done things that rhyme with the word Speedo. Then there's Douglas McGregor, who also served in the US Armed Forces, who is a huge asset for Russia, saying that, oh yeah, at any time Ukraine's going to fall. He said in March of 2022 that Ukraine would fall by April. Well, it's been 2 years, more than that since then. But by far, the greatest source of anti-American, pro-Russia propaganda has been Clayton Morris. You should look that guy up. Oh yeah, if you just Google the news about him from 2019, you'll see he fled the country amid dozens of fraud lawsuits. And he still doesn't live in the United States. He's currently in Portugal. Each of these influencers are asserting Russia and, of course, Chinese supremacy, stating that China is going to get Russia out of any hardships that they're facing. Look at Russia's cash reserves. They still have about 16% of it in US dollars. They just can't do anything with it. But 32% belong in Chinese yuan. Between 40 to 50 billion dollars in Chinese yuan belong to Russia, but they're held in the Chinese central banks. And look at India. The same thing is going on, where Russia is owed $30 billion in rupees, but it's held in the Indian central banks. Because if either India or China allow this much money to leave their country, they can't control the currency. It gets circulated well outside of Russia into the world market, and their economy, or the value of their currency at the very least, will crash even more. And that's why you've been hearing about this new deal between India and Russia. Right now, India has promised to buy at least 3 million barrels of Russian oil a month in rubles. Of course, Russia loses money because they are selling it at a discount, but India gets very cheap oil, and all they have to do is convert the rupees that belong to Russia already into rubles. Now, of course, it's not smooth sailing for Ukraine because there is a lot of opposition to their aid, led by Trump, who in my opinion is a Russian asset. Right now, he has two advisors who handed him a plan saying that nothing should be given unless Ukraine agrees to peace with Moscow. This is the same type of cowardice as Neville Chamberlain, who was the Prime Minister of the UK right before World War II started. He kept acquiescing to Germany's demands and led us into World War II. The same can be said of Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, who keeps trying to veto funds for Ukraine. But I have to tell you something. I don't know who's going to win. When Russia first invaded Ukraine, I thought the country was going to last maybe a week and then Kyiv would fall. After Kyiv lasting more than a week and then finally getting NATO reinforcements, it looked like there was going to be a standstill. And every day that Kyiv didn't fall was a loss for Russia. And a lot of us started to think that, wow, Russia's going to lose this. Moving all the way up to 6 months ago, it looked like Russia had the advantage and nobody knew how much longer Ukraine can last. And here we are again, where it looks like Ukraine has the upper hand. But last year, Russia had a 1 or 2 day civil war, yet Russia still stands. Russia is a huge country that is awash in all the natural resources it needs to sustain a long and protracted war, even if they have crappy military technology. Ukraine is a much smaller country with a much smaller population, but they have the resources now of the wealthiest and strongest military alliance in the history of the world, even though they are using antiquated technology. In my opinion, there are two major parties that don't want the war to end yet. One is the American military-industrial complex, because the more Russia arms itself and the more it gains whatever ground it does in Ukraine, it gives us the excuse to spend more and develop more on our military. The second is China. Russia and China are allies for now, but Russia has taken quite a bit of Chinese land over its history. Russia's population is 140 million, China has 1.4 billion people, and their economy is 14 times larger than Russia. The longer this war goes on, the weaker Russia gets, and the more they depend on the Chinese economy just to stay alive. Russia will eventually either start ceding back some of the land that it took from China, or China will just do a very polite entry into Russia and never leave. The only reason why something like that hasn't happened yet is because Russia has nukes. Chad Scott has said the same thing over a year ago, and there you have it. My name is the Geo Hussar, and please use this post to address any argument that people say about Russia easily winning. Thanks for watching.